All right, let's kick off this deep dive. Today, we're cracking open Apple's business model.
Mm-hmm.
We're going to figure out just how this tech giant rakes in the cash,
Yeah,
what are those big expenses they've got and what keeps their customers,
right.
hooked coming back for more and more.
Totally.
And for this inside scoop, we're going straight to the source,
That's right.
Apple's own 2024 Form 10K filing.
It's like a treasure trove of information.
Oh, it's a backstage pass to their inner workings.
Yeah, it gives us a really transparent look into their operations.
Absolutely. So, we can see exactly, how they're bringing in the money,
Yes.
where the costs are piling up,
Yeah,
and how they create that, that irresistible pull for their customers.
exactly.
All right, so let's dive right in. Now, picture this. You're thinking about Apple's revenue streams.
Okay.
What's the first thing that pops into your head?
iPhones.
iPhones, right? I mean, it's got to be.
It's the obvious one.
But is that the whole story, though?
Well, iPhones are definitely a powerhouse. Oh, yeah.
They brought in a massive $201.183 billion
Wow.
in net sales just last year alone. But here's where things get really interesting.
Okay.
Apple's revenue streams are way more diverse than most people realize.
So you're telling me like those sleek MacBooks
Mm-hmm.
and the iPads, they're not like carrying their weight.
Oh, no, they're definitely pulling in some serious numbers.
Okay.
Mac sales actually got a nice boost in 2024.
Really?
They hit $29.984 billion, fueled by strong laptop sales.
Wow.
iPads saw a slight dip down to $26.694 billion.
Okay.
But the real hidden gem here is their services segment.
Services? You mean like the App Store,
Exactly.
Apple Music,
Yeah.
Cloud, all that stuff?
All of that.
I mean, I use a bunch of them, but are they really bringing in that much money?
You would be surprised. In 2024, Apple services raked in a whopping
Okay.
$96.169 billion.
Wow.
That's almost half of their total revenue.
No way.
And it's a segment that's only growing.
It's like finding a secret vault overflowing with cash.
So Apple's not just an iPhone company anymore, huh?
No, not at all. They've really diversified
It's smart.
their revenue streams beyond hardware,
Yeah,
which makes them way more resilient as a business.
makes sense.
They're less vulnerable to, fluctuations in any single product market.
Right.
And that services segment, it provides like a recurring revenue stream, which is incredibly valuable.
It's like the golden goose.
Exactly.
Yeah, don't put all your eggs in one basket, as they say.
Exactly.
But let's be real, running a tech empire like Apple,
Yeah.
it's got to cost a fortune.
Oh, absolutely.
Think about it. Global supply chains, cutting-edge research, all of that, where does all the money go?
Well, maintaining that top spot in the tech world, it comes at a price.
Oh, yeah.
And one of the biggest expenses is something called manufacturing purchase obligations.
Okay.
These are basically the agreements they have with their outsourcing partners,
Right.
for assembling and testing all their products.
It makes sense.
We're talking about a cool $53 billion
Wait, $53 billion.
in 2024 alone.
I mean, to put that in perspective, that's like enough to buy every single person in California
Wow.
a brand new iPhone.
That's incredible.
I mean, it really makes you realize how massive their operations are.
It's mind-boggling.
It is.
And it also highlights, a potential vulnerability.
Okay.
Apple often relies on single-source suppliers for certain components,
Really?
especially for like new and custom-designed ones.
So wait, relying on just one source for some of those crucial components?
Yeah.
Doesn't that seem kind of risky? I mean, it's like putting all your eggs in one very fragile basket.
It definitely creates a potential pressure point, for sure.
Yeah.
Any disruption with that supplier, whether it's a natural disaster or, political instability,
Right.
even just a simple production hiccup, it could really mess things up for their entire supply chain.
That's true.
Yeah,
So it's like a high-stakes game of chess, isn't it? Balancing innovation with all those potential risks.
exactly.
What else is eating into Apple's profits?
Another major expense is research and development.
Right, R&D.
Apple pours billions into this.
Makes sense.
It was a whopping $31.370 billion in 2024 just to stay ahead of the game.
Yeah, you got to stay competitive
You have to.
in that crazy tech world.
Absolutely. It's the fuel for all those groundbreaking features and those sleek designs we've all come to expect.
Yeah, they're always pushing the boundaries.
Always.
They're not just resting on their laurels.
Never.
Okay, but let's shift gears for a minute.
Okay.
Let's look at it from the customer's perspective.
Right.
Why do people choose Apple? What is that magic formula
Yeah.
that keeps them coming back for more?
Well, that's a question that goes way beyond just, specs and features.
Sure.
Apple's value proposition, it's built on this tightly woven tapestry
Okay.
of hardware, software, and services.
They've created that ecosystem, haven't they?
Exactly. They've created this seamless ecosystem where everything just works together intuitively.
So smooth.
It's really about the feeling you get when you're using their products.
It's true. Like, it's an experience.
It's the sleek design, the user friendliness, and that strong emphasis on privacy and security.
You're right. There's this, like, undeniable allure to their products.
Mm-hmm.
They just feel premium,
Yeah, very aspirational.
aspirational. Yeah. And they've cultivated this almost like cult-like brand loyalty.
They have. It's a very powerful combination.
It is.
They've successfully positioned themselves as that premium brand
Yeah.
that people are willing to pay a premium for.
Right.
And it's not just about the product itself.
It's the whole thing.
It's the entire experience, from the unboxing to those in-store interactions at those iconic Apple stores.
Speaking of Apple stores,
Yeah.
I mean, they're a world away from your typical electronics store.
Oh, for sure.
It's like stepping into this minimalist tech sanctuary.
It's true.
You get that personalized attention.
Yeah.
The Genius Bar for troubleshooting.
Uh-huh.
It all feeds into that premium brand perception.
Absolutely. Apple meticulously controls its retail environment to make sure that they're providing a unique customer experience.
Yeah. And let's not forget Apple Care,
Oh, yes.
their extended warranty and support service.
That's a big one.
It gives you that sense of security
Sure.
and peace of mind
Totally.
that you just don't really get with other tech companies.
I agree.
It's like they've thought of everything.
They really have.
So Apple's success, it's not just about those shiny gadgets.
Right.
It's about creating this, comprehensive, user-centric ecosystem
Yeah.
that keeps customers happy within their little walled garden.
Absolutely.
But how do they actually make all this magic happen?
Good question.
What are the operational nuts and bolts
Right.
that drive this well-oiled machine?
Well, that's where things get really interesting.
Okay.
Apple's operational activities are like a symphony of interconnected processes.
Okay, I like that.
First, you have product design and development,
Okay.
where they're constantly innovating,
Right.
pushing the boundaries of what's possible.
That's where the magic happens.
Right.
Turning those ideas into those iconic devices.
Exactly. But then comes the logistical ballet
Okay.
of supply chain management.
Oh, yeah, all those moving parts.
They have this incredibly intricate global network of suppliers and manufacturers
Right.
that needs to be like perfectly choreographed
Oh, yeah.
to ensure that smooth flow of components and finished products.
Like a giant, well-orchestrated dance.
It is.
Getting all those pieces to the right place at the right time.
Exactly.
It's impressive.
And then, of course, you have the marketing machine.
Oh, yeah.
Apple is a master
They are.
at generating buzz and excitement around their products.
Oh, yeah.
They know how to create that sense of anticipation and make their launches feel like cultural events.
Those Apple events are something else.
They are.
It's true. Their marketing campaigns are always so sleek and aspirational.
Absolutely.
They're not just selling products.
Right.
They're selling a lifestyle.
Exactly.
And let's not forget the App Store.
Oh, yes, the App Store.
Realm unto itself.
It really is.
Managing that ecosystem,
Uh-huh.
attracting developers,
Yes.
ensuring app quality,
Mm-hmm.
and taking their cut of the revenue.
Right.
It's another critical operational activity.
It keeps them very busy.
The App Store has become its own behemoth, hasn't it?
Really has.
Been another revenue stream, a platform for developers.
Mm-hmm.
And a key part of that Apple user experience all rolled into one.
It's a brilliant example of how Apple leverages its platform to create value for both itself and its users.
It's smart.
Very much so.
So to recap, we've got these 4 operational pillars holding up the Apple empire.
Okay, let's hear them.
You've got product design and development,
Mm-hmm.
supply chain management, marketing, and branding.
Yep.
And managing that App Store ecosystem.
It's a lot.
It's like watching a masterclass in business execution.
It is.
But I'm curious, with their services segment growing so rapidly,
Yeah.
do you think Apple's on track to become more of a software company
Interesting.
than a hardware company?
That's a fascinating question, and one that's generating a lot of buzz in the tech world.
For sure.
It's clear that services are becoming super crucial to their business model,
Yeah.
but their hardware, it remains iconic and very profitable.
Yeah. It's a tricky one.
It is.
It's a fascinating evolution to watch.
It is.
They're straddling both worlds.
Yeah,
And it'll be interesting to see how that balance shifts, in the coming years.
absolutely.
But for now, I think we've laid the groundwork.
Yeah.
We've explored their revenue streams, their major expenses, and those key operational activities
Hmm.
that make it all happen.
We've peeked behind the curtain
We have.
and seen the inner workings of this tech titan.
It's fascinating, isn't it?
It is, but there's still so much more to uncover.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. So join us in part 2,
Yeah.
where we're going to delve even deeper into the financial landscape.
We'll get into the nitty-gritty.
We'll explore the risks and challenges that even a giant like Apple has to contend with.
It's going to be a wild ride.
Yeah.
Welcome back.
All right, so in part 1, we explored the gleaming surface of Apple's business model.
Right, all the shiny stuff.
Yeah, we talked about their revenue streams,
Mm-hmm.
those cost drivers,
Yeah.
and what really makes their customers tick.
What makes them tick?
But now we're going to venture into the shadows a little bit.
Ooh, getting dark.
We're going to explore the challenges that even a titan like Apple
Mm.
has to face,
Right, even giants cast shadows.
They do, they do. So what are some of the things that you might keep those Apple executives
Yeah.
up at night, tossing and turning?
Oh, well, one thing that's always looming large is the global economy.
The economy? Oh, yeah.
Apple's business, it's so deeply intertwined with consumer spending, which
Right.
can be really fickle, especially during, economic downturns or
Yeah.
instability in those key markets.
Yeah, so imagine like a recession hits.
Right.
Suddenly those shiny new iPhones aren't quite as essential anymore.
Exactly, when people are tightening their belts.
Yeah, got to cut back somewhere.
Yeah. Luxury items like tech gadgets, those are often the first to go.
Makes sense. And Apple's a global company.
They are.
So they're exposed to economic risks on like multiple fronts.
Multiple fronts, yeah. A slowdown in China, Europe, or the U.S.
Wow.
It could send shockwaves through their entire financial ecosystem.
Yeah, it's like this delicate web,
It is.
right? And a tremor in one strand can be felt across the entire structure.
Absolutely.
So the global economy, that's one big interconnected beast.
It is a beast.
What else is lurking in those shadows?
Well, competition is always nipping at their heels.
Competition.
Oh, yeah. The tech landscape is brutal.
It is.
It's the battleground with rivals constantly, fighting for market share.
Those hungry companies.
They're hungry.
Samsung, Google, all those ambitious startups.
All vying for a piece of the pie.
Yeah, Apple's got to constantly innovate and stay ahead of the curve.
They have to survive. It's like this high-stakes game of innovation leapfrog, isn't it?
It is 1 minute you're the king of the hill, the next you're playing catch up. That's true.
Mm.
And it's not just about unveiling like the latest and greatest gadget.
Right.
They also have to navigate, that tricky terrain of pricing.
Pricing, oh yeah.
They've cultivated this image of like premium exclusivity,
Mm-hmm.
but they can't price themselves out of the market,
No, they can't.
especially with competitors offering those attractive alternatives.
It's a tough balance.
So it's a delicate balancing act, isn't it?
It is.
Maintaining that premium aura, but staying competitive in a price-sensitive world.
Exact. You said it perfectly.
Yeah, and then there's that whole intellectual property jungle.
Oh, yeah.
Apple's got this treasure trove of patents, trademarks, copyrights,
Mm-hmm.
but they're constantly having to defend their turf.
It's a full-time job.
It's like a constant game of legal whack-a-mole.
It is. You whack one down and another one pops up.
Popping up whenever someone tries to, infringe on their design.
Right. Or their technologies.
It's like they're constantly looking over their shoulder,
Always watching.
making sure no one's trying to sneak off with their crown jewels.
That's a great analogy.
And this legal battleground, it's not confined to one country.
Oh, no. It's global.
Intellectual property laws, they vary so widely.
They do.
Across the globe, it adds like another layer of complexity to this global chess match.
It's a complicated game.
So they're fighting on multiple fronts,
They are.
defending their innovations domestically and internationally.
That's the life of a tech giant.
And speaking of global challenges, we touched on those single source suppliers earlier.
Right.
Remember that?
Uh-huh.
That sounds like a real vulnerability.
It is, especially in today's unpredictable world.
Especially, yeah, remember that $53 billion in manufacturing purchase obligations?
Oh, yeah.
A lot is riding on those relationships.
There are a lot.
Any disruption in that supply chain,
Right.
whether it's a natural disaster,
A typhoon or a hurricane.
geopolitical tension,
Trade wars.
even just a factory fire,
anything.
could have a domino effect
It could.
on Apple's ability to actually meet demand.
It's a real concern.
It's a reminder that even a giant like Apple is dependent on this complex web
It's a web.
of interconnected systems,
Yeah.
all vulnerable to disruption.
Absolutely.
And let's not forget that volatile world of semiconductors.
Semiconductors, right? Those tiny chicks are the brains of our devices.
Yeah. They're everywhere.
And the global semiconductor industry, it's like a roller coaster,
Up in the act.
prone to wild swings in supply and demand.
So a shortage could easily impact Apple's production capacity
It could.
and drive up costs.
Absolutely. It's a constant game of anticipation and mitigation.
Trying to say one step ahead.
One step ahead of those potential disruptions.
All right, let's switch gears again.
Okay.
Let's delve into the world of digital content for a minute.
Digital content, right?
Apple's services segment, as we discussed, it's booming,
It's on fire.
but they're heavily reliant on third-party content providers
Right.
for things like the App Store, Apple Music, Apple TV Plus,
All the good stuff.
all the good stuff. Imagine a scenario where they can't secure access to that content on favorable terms.
That would be bad.
Or if those providers decide to go solo
Right.
and build their own platforms,
Cut out the middleman.
that would be a major blow to their services revenue.
A major blow.
It's like being the landlord of a bustling shopping mall,
Okay, I like this analogy.
and suddenly all your anchor stores decide to move out.
Oh no, empty storefronts.
Exactly. So Apple has to really carefully nurture those relationships
Nurture them.
with content creators and negotiate deals that work for everyone.
Keep everybody happy.
It's a delicate ecosystem,
It is.
balancing the interests of content creators,
Yeah.
consumers, and Apple itself.
A lot of juggling.
It is. All right, let's talk about something that I think keeps everyone up at night.
Ooh, what's that?
Cybersecurity and data privacy.
Big ones.
Apple collects vast amounts of user data,
They do.
which makes them a prime target
Uh-huh.
for hackers and cyber attacks.
Right, a big bullseye on their back.
Just one major data breach
Yeah.
could severely damage their reputation
Yeah.
and erode customer trust.
That trust is hard to earn back.
It is. It's like having this fortress of data
A digital fortress.
constantly under siege
Under attack.
from digital attackers trying to find a way in.
They're relentless.
They are. And the reputational damage can be devastating,
Oh, yeah.
especially for a company that prides itself on privacy and security.
It would be a huge blow.
So they have to constantly invest in those robust cybersecurity measures
Got to have the strong defenses.
and stay ahead of the ever-evolving tactics of cyber criminals.
It's an arms race for sure.
It is an arms race where the stakes are incredibly high,
They are.
so they're constantly patching those digital walls,
Building those walls higher and higher.
trying to stay one step ahead of those who are trying to break in.
That's the game.
And then there's that ever-changing world of regulations.
Oh, yeah, regulation.
Big tech companies, they're under increasing scrutiny,
Under the microscope.
and Apple's no exception.
No, they're right there in the spotlight.
They have to navigate this complex web of antitrust laws, data privacy regulations, content moderation policies,
So many rules.
both domestically and internationally.
It's a global maze.
It's like trying to steer a ship
A big ship.
through a constantly shifting maze of legal and regulatory obstacles.
It's not easy.
So the rules of the game are constantly changing,
Always changing.
making it a real challenge to stay compliant.
It's a headache for sure.
And failure to do so could result in, hefty fines, legal battles,
Nobody wants that.
a tarnished reputation.
It's a big risk.
Okay, so we've got economic risks, competition breathing down their neck,
Mm-hmm.
intellectual property challenges,
Yep.
supply chain vulnerabilities,
Right.
digital content dependencies,
It's a lot.
cybersecurity threats, and a constantly evolving regulatory landscape.
It's a lot to juggle.
It sounds like a lot to juggle.
It is, but it's important to remember that Apple is a well-run company.
Okay.
They have a deep bench of talent and a history of navigating these choppy waters.
So they're not just sitting back and hoping for the best.
No way they're proactive
Okay.
in identifying and mitigating these risks.
So they've got a plan.
They have sophisticated risk management processes in place,
That's good to hear.
and they're constantly evaluating and adapting their strategies to address these emerging challenges.
So they're staying ahead of the game.
They're trying to.
That's reassuring.
It should be.
It sounds like they're taking these risks seriously,
Oh, they are.
and they're not afraid to tackle them head on.
They're not afraid of a challenge.
All right, so we've explored that shadowy side of Apple's business,
We've seen the darkness.
those lurking risks and challenges that could potentially derail their success.
It's out there.
But now let's turn our attention to their financial performance.
Okay, the numbers.
Let's dive into those numbers
Let's do it.
and see what story they tell.
Time to put on our financial detective hats.
I love it. All right, so what are the key takeaways from Apple's performance in 2024?
Well, for starters, their total net sales for the fiscal year ending September 28, 2024
All right.
were $391.035 billion.
Okay.
That's a 2% increase compared to 2023.
So even with all those headwinds we just talked about,
All those challenges.
they still managed to grow their revenue.
They did. It's a testament to the strength of their brand,
Wow.
the desirability of their products and services,
Uh,
and their ability to weather those economic
they're
storms.
resilient.
They are now, if we break down their net sales by category,
Okay.
we see that products brought in $294.866 billion,
Right.
while services contributed $96.169 billion.
Wow. Those services numbers, they continue to impress.
They do.
It seems like they're on a steady march toward matching their product sales.
It's a clear sign that their diversification strategy is paying off.
Smart move.
That recurring revenue from services is a beautiful thing for a business.
It's the gift that keeps on giving.
It is, and when we look at their gross margin,
Gross margin.
which basically tells us how much profit they make. After deducting the cost of producing and selling their goods and services,
Right.
Apple's gross margin for 2024 was $180.683 billion.
Okay, so they're clearly making a healthy profit.
Oh, yeah.
But what about those hefty expenses we talked about?
Right. If we take a peek at their operating expenses,
Operating expenses.
which include things like research and development marketing administration,
All the costs of doing business.
all of that, the total for 2024 was $57.467 billion.
Okay, that's a big chunk of change.
It is.
But I guess it makes sense considering the scale of their operations
Right.
and their commitment to innovation.
It takes a lot of money to keep that innovation engine humming
For sure.
and to maintain their global presence.
This is an investment.
It is now, if we subtract those operating expenses from their gross margin,
Okay.
we arrive at their operating income,
Operating income.
which for 2024 was $123.216 billion.
So after all the costs of doing business, they're still left with a very tidy sum.
A very tidy sum.
They're doing all right.
They are, and after factoring in other income and expenses,
Okay.
their income before taxes for 2024 was $123.485 billion.
All right. And then, of course, comes the tax man.
Oh, yes. Uncle Sam always wants his cut.
Always. So Apple's provision for income taxes in 2024 was...
A cool $29.749 billion.
Okay, so after Uncle Sam takes his cut, what's left?
Right, the moment of truth.
What was their bottom line for 2024?
Drumroll, please. Apple's net income for fiscal year 2024 was a staggering
Okay.
$93.736 billion.
Wow, that is a mind-boggling amount of money.
It is.
Then no wonder they're considered one of the most valuable companies on the planet.
A financial force to be reckoned with.
For sure. And if we take a look at their balance sheet,
All right, let's do it.
we see they're sitting on a mountain of assets,
A mountain of assets.
totaling $364.98 billion.
As of September 28, 2024.
That's a lot of valuable stuff.
It's a lot of stuff.
It's good to know they've got a solid financial foundation.
A very solid foundation.
On the flip side, their total liabilities were $308.030 billion.
Okay, so they do have a sizable chunk of debt.
They do, but considering their massive asset
Mhm.
base,
Right.
it doesn't seem overly alarming.
No, they're managing their debt responsibly.
Okay, that's good to hear.
And finally, if we peek at their statement of cash flows,
Cash flow.
we get a glimpse of how they're generating and using their cash.
Okay, show me the money.
In 2024, they generated $118.254 billion from their core business operations,
Oh, wow.
which shows just how much cash their products and services are pulling in.
That's a cash gusher.
It is a gusher. So what are they doing with all those billions?
Now, where is it all going?
Well, they're investing in research and development,
Okay.
expanding their operations, and acquiring promising startups.
Moves.
But they're also rewarding their shareholders through dividends and share repurchases.
So they're sharing the wealth.
They're sharing the wealth with those who have invested in their success.
It's a good way to keep investors happy.
It is. In 2024, they used $94.949 billion for share repurchases, which is a way of reducing the number of outstanding shares and boosting the value of the remaining shares.
So they're using their cash strategically,
Very strategic.
both to grow their business and to sweeten the pot for their investors.
They're playing the long game.
They are. They're masters of the financial game.
They are, and that, in a nutshell, is the financial picture of Apple in 2024.
Wow, that was a deep dive into the numbers.
It was a deep dive.
It's amazing to see the sheer scale of their operations
It's mind-boggling.
and the financial firepower that they wield.
They're a financial powerhouse.
It's impressive. And remember, this is just a snapshot
Snapshot in time.
based on their 2024 10K filing.
Right, the financial landscape is constantly shifting.
Always changing.
And Apple's business is always evolving.
Well, we've covered a lot of ground.
We have from revenue streams to lurking risks to impressive financial performance.
But There's still more to uncover.
Yeah.
So join us in part 3,
The final chapter.
where we'll step back and reflect on the big picture,
The big picture.
exploring what all of this reveals about Apple's strategy
Their master plan.
and its place in that ever-changing tech landscape.
It's gonna be good.
All right, so welcome back to the final chapter of our Apple Deep Dive.
It's been a journey.
It has. We've explored their revenue streams, right? We navigated that treacherous terrain of risks and challenges.
We faced the shadows.
We did, and we even crunched some serious numbers in those financial statements.
We got our hands dirty with the data.
We did. We peeled back the layers of this tech titan,
Uncovering the secrets.
uncovering the secrets to their success. But now it's time to step back,
Take a breather.
take a breather, and contemplate that bigger picture. You know,
The big picture.
we've gathered all these puzzle pieces, but how do they fit together?
Right. What's the image they create?
What does it all mean? What does this deep dive into Apple's 10K filing really reveal about their grand strategy and the position, in this ever-evolving tech landscape?
Well, one thing that really jumps out at me is Apple's relentless pursuit of diversification.
Diversifications, they've really shattered that image of being just an iPhone company.
They've moved beyond the iPhone.
Their services segment is flourishing,
It's thriving.
and they're constantly exploring new frontiers, right?
Oh, yeah.
From augmented reality to those persistent rumors about an Apple electric car.
The Apple Car rumors never die.
They don't, it's like they're building their own tech universe,
Their own ecosystem.
weaving together hardware, software, and services into this seamless tapestry
It's all interconnected.
that envelops every aspect of our digital lives.
They're masters of creating that walled garden experience.
They are, and they're doing it by leveraging their core strengths.
Which are?
Innovative design, a fiercely loyal customer base, and a brand that's synonymous with quality and aspiration.
It's a powerful combination.
It is, but as we uncovered in part 2,
Right.
they're not immune to challenges.
No one is.
The tech world is a relentless race.
It's a marathon, not a sprint.
Competition is fierce, and new threats are emerging constantly.
It's a dynamic landscape.
But Apple has a remarkable track record
They do.
of adapting and innovating.
Right. They're always evolving.
They're not afraid to take calculated risks.
No, they're bold.
And they pour billions into research and development
To stay ahead of the curve.
to stay ahead of the game. And let's not forget their mastery
Oh, yeah.
of marketing and branding.
They're the best.
They know how to create a buzz-generate excitement,
Uh-huh.
make their product launches feel like global events.
I mean, remember those lines?
Those snaking lines outside Apple stores on iPhone launch day,
It's a phenomenon.
it's a testament to their ability to cultivate that sense of desire, exclusivity, and even a touch of FOMO.
The fear of missing out.
The fear of missing out, they've tapped into that primal urge
For that deep-seated need.
to be part of something special, to own a piece of the future.
It's brilliant.
All right, so what does the crystal ball hold for Apple?
Ooh, predictions.
What can we expect from this tech titan
In the years to come.
in the years to come,
Well, predicting the future is always a risky business.
especially in the tech world?
Especially in tech where things change so rapidly.
Constantly evolving.
But based on what we've seen in their 10K filing,
Right.
I think it's safe to say that Apple will continue to push the envelope.
They're not going to slow down.
No. They're going to keep innovating, diversify their offerings, and explore those new avenues for growth.
They're always looking for the next big thing.
Always.
They're not the kind of company to rest on their laurels, that's for sure.
No, they're not complacent.
They're going to face new challenges,
Of course.
navigate a complex regulatory landscape, and contend with that fierce competition.
It's the nature of the beast.
But they've shown that remarkable ability to adapt, innovate, and maintain their position
At the top,
at the forefront of a tech world.
they're a force to be reckoned with.
And they'll likely keep surprising us with new products and services
Oh, yeah.
that we didn't even know we needed,
Until they unveil them.
until they unveil them with that signature Apple flair.
It's the Apple magic.
It is. That's the Apple magic. They have this uncanny ability to anticipate our needs and desires,
They know what we want before we do.
to create products that seamlessly integrate into our lives
And become indispensable.
and become indispensable. So as we wrap up our deep dive
Good fun.
into Apple's business model, I want to leave you with this thought.
Okay.
If you're truly interested in understanding the intricacies of the tech world, The forces that shape innovation and the strategies of these industry giants.
The titans of tech.
I highly encourage you to dive into Apple's 10K filing yourself.
Go straight to the source.
Go straight to the source. It's a treasure trove of insight.
It's a wealth of information.
A behind-the-scenes look at how one of the most influential companies in the world operates.
It's fascinating.
And it's freely available online, a testament to their commitment to transparency.
You can't beat that.
You can't. It's been a fascinating journey,
It has.
exploring the peaks and valleys
The ups and downs.
of Apple's business landscape.
A wild ride.
A wild ride, and it's a journey that's far from over.
It's always evolving.
So stay curious, keep exploring, and always remember there's always more to learn.
That's the beauty of it.
That's the beauty of it. Until next time, keep seeking knowledge and diving deep.
Into the fascinating world around us.
Absolutely. And that concludes our deep dive into the heart of Apple's business model.
Thanks for joining us.
Thanks for joining us.